10 toes behind Jesus. 10 toes behind Jesus. 10 toes behind Jesus. I started 10 toes. You know how it go. Used to have waves, now I wear a big nappy fro. Then I fell down. Couldn't believe it until I stood up 10 toes behind Jesus.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode on 10 Toes Behind Jesus podcast. My name is Britley, and I'm so happy that you guys are here. This is episode 3, so, feeling a bit more comfortable, things going on the smoother end, the nerves not as much. Really, you know, I love to talk, right? So the talking part isn't that bad, but it was more like me posting and actually knowing that like people are gonna see this. But I know God has given me this voice and I'm gonna use it for his purpose, right? Check out my shirt here. You can copy yourself your own shirt, 10toesbehindjesus.com. Remember, all proceeds go to missions and the upbuilding of God's kingdom, so that helps out a lot. If you don't have the funds to, or simply just don't need another shirt, you can subscribe, like, share this video, share this podcast with someone. That also helps out a lot. Because the whole purpose is to build up a community, to be the light of the world. Y'all, the world is a real dark place, especially right now. So we need as many lights as possible. So, like I said, happy you guys are here. And let's get into this podcast. So, this podcast, I'm going to talk about how God bossed my life up. It's either going to be that or it's going to say how finding God bossed my life up, because I truly feel as if I feel God would not have blessed me to the amounts that he's blessed me so far, right? Because I know he's not done. But I feel as if he wouldn't have done that if I didn't truly seek him and make some sacrifices to get closer to God and, truly seek an authentic relationship. And I feel like there's a lot of power in that. It can get hard. It may not feel good at the time, but along the way, God's going to send you some encouragement, some motivation, something just to keep you going. I can't sit up here and say this past year has been good, but I can say God has been good. And I've said that to a lot of people. If I wasn't as close with God, I probably would consider this year to be one of the I dare not say worse, but one of those years, especially kind of like me transitioning from college back home, that whole phase. I can't lie and say it was good. It was perfect. But God is good, and he gave me everything I needed to keep going. I mean, the joy, the peace out of nowhere, the happiness. And I'm like, I thank God for this happiness, because I don't even feel like I have anything to be happy for, but I'm happy, going to church, like things like that. God truly knew that I needed that, and I'm thankful for it. But let's talk about, the word bossing up. Well, the phrase bossing up, boss up. So every time I see this, bossing up, I bossed up, it's always with some money behind it. I got to start a new business. I bossed up. I got a new car, new house. I bossed up. XYZ. And for me, I'm like, oh, that's so good. They bossed up, right? But I think about the inside, like, what does the inside look like? Like, did your inside boss up as well? Or was it just the outward appearance? Or was it just something you wanted to show everyone? And I think that this also is very, very important, that because bossing up is a beautiful thing and it's good. We never want to stay the same. We never want to stay stagnant. We definitely don't want to go backwards. So in a sense, like, we want to go higher and higher, bossing up, right? But if we haven't bossed up on the inside and, figure some things out, all the outside, it don't even matter. So that's that's the route I'm going at with how God bossed my life up, because he bossed my life up on the inside first. He bossed me up. And now I've started a business, my first business, and I've always wanted to do that. And I started this podcast. So outside looking in, it's probably like, okay, she's bossing up. She finally bossed up. Boom, boom. But truthfully speaking, I feel God has bossed me up months ago, and I knew that in myself that he had bossed me up months ago. I just didn't have anything to show for it, and I was perfectly fine with that. I mean, at the beginning of the year, I'll be honest, it did get to me, did get in my head, but as the year went on, God specifically spoke clear and clearer, more clearly, I don't know if that's right, to me about my purpose and what he wants me to do. And so while I started to be, I was in the waiting season, every time I would get, start going down that phase, like, okay, maybe it's not going to happen, or maybe it's not this. He'll send a word. He'll send my pastor that with a word. And, you know, this, I don't, in my head, I didn't really want to share this, but I feel like I have to, because it's so leading. It's so, it goes right now. But the reason why I didn't want to share this, because it's really personal, but that's what this podcast is for. I mean, how are we going to get anywhere if we're not being open, honest, and authentic about our walk with God? So I was studying Joseph's response to when he revealed himself to his brothers, right? Genesis 45 and 5. And so basically Joseph is telling his brothers, like, his brothers did him extremely terrible, wrong. They staged his death, told their father that he was dead, tried to throw him in a pit, sold him as a slave. And then the path after that was just, Joseph went through a lot, right? And so now he's at the palace, right? From the pit. And I was talking to my friend this other day, like, from the pit to the palace, like, where did that come from? Because Joseph was the original from the pit to the palace. It probably did come from him. I just don't know. But yeah, y'all saying that saying, just know it came Joseph, the original of that saying. But anyway, so now he's at the palace, and his brothers are actually coming to him, not knowing it's him. And he ends up revealing himself, like, y'all, I'm actually your brother. And he says, like, but don't feel bad or don't feel guilty. It was God that did this. It was God that sent me before y'all so I could save you guys. And I highlighted, I'm like, wow, this is Joseph's response to, the people that literally ruined his life, right? Well, it seems as if ruined his life. But he was so deeply rooted in God. He understood that God had to have them act like that. God had to have them do that so he could get to where he would be in a place to be able to save them. And so, I got so hyped. I even posted like the scripture on my story it was late Friday night, so it was really Saturday, but it was late night. So really it was posted Saturday, right? And I highlighted like that one verse. Actually, I think I highlighted 2 verses. And, I made a few comments like, wow, look at Joseph's response to his brothers. And I even had mentioned, I said, if you feel mistreated or overlooked or whatever, just know that God has those people acting that way on purpose for your own good. And so it's like we should be at a point to where we're thanking those people. I don't know about thanking them. But we're thanking God that he's allowed them to, do that, because, imagine his brothers treated him with so much love and they never sold him to Egypt. Their whole family would die because there's a famine and they didn't have food and water and none of that. And so, like, their family would die if it wasn't for them doing that to him. And so he, like he said, he says, y'all, like, don't feel bad, don't worry. And the brothers, I mean, they're feeling so bad. I didn't fully read the whole chapter, the whole book of Genesis after that, but I did see where one of the brothers, like years later, one of the brothers was saying how he feels as if Joseph was only being nice to them because their dad was still alive and he didn't want, their dad to see them fighting and stuff. Like, that brother carried that guilt this whole entire time because they felt what they did was terrible. They felt so bad. But anyway, I said all that to say this. So I posted on my story, and then I go to church Sunday. And, my pastor, he's like, go to Genesis 45. And I still didn't even think nothing of it until I flipped the page and I saw the highlighter. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was reading in, this chapter, and he says verse 5. And I look and I said, he is about to preach on the exact same thing I just read. Not only that, y'all, the verse, how like, sometimes they'll read, a lot, like they'll pull from like a lot of verses type thing. He literally read 3 verses. So I pulled from 5 and 6, and he read 5, 6, and 7. And y'all, when I tell you, my mouth literally dropped. I wanted to cry so bad. And what I love about God, I love him for so many reasons and ways, but God is always going to have a witness. That's what I've learned within this year. So for those of you that are wondering if this is God, or, is God saying this, God's always going to have a witness, or he's going to tell you more times, or he's going to have it come up more times. So, that's how you can really tell if it's God or you. If it's you all in your head like, yeah, this will work. But God, he's going to make it known. And so when I posted on my story, one of my friends had screenshotted it. I think screenshot and repost, or we were talking about it. So, and he was also in that service. And so I was so caught up in, that I didn't initially look at him. And it wasn't until I sat down that I, was trying to like make eye contact. Like, did you what is going on? And so I ended up like texting him. Uh-oh, y'all, don't get me for texting the church. But I had texted him, and I was like, what? And he said, I'm so thankful that he said this, because I wasn't really thinking of it like this. But he said, God is speaking. And because me, I was just like, wow, like the coincidence, right? But he's like, God is speaking. And so anyway, pastor preached the house down like always. He, God is just really using him. Like, he is amazing. So he preached the house down, and I think a couple of days after that, I'm in prayer, and I'm like, okay, God, like, this just happened. What are you trying to tell me from this situation? Like, what are you trying to tell me to take away from this? So it was in prayer, and God told me Joseph's attitude, to have Joseph's attitude. So yes, we see Joseph's attitude there. Gosh, like, telling his brothers and sisters, trying to calm them down. No, I said brothers and sisters, telling his brothers, trying to calm them down. But along his whole journey, it's like he just, like, he's really inspiring. It's like he never was mad, or and so Joseph's attitude. And not only that, when you are in a position that no one thought you would be in, when those roles reverse, people are going to expect you to treat them how they treated you. And you got to make sure you don't do that, because that kills the witness. I mean, what's the point of, being different, being the light, if, we're going to treat people how they treat us? They treat us with darkness, so we respond back with darkness. Like, that's not right. But yeah, so Joseph's attitude. So I just really been just thinking about like his attitude, and learning from that. And so gosh, I feel like I just went on a tangent. We talking about bossing up. we still talking about bossing up, y'all, but I don't even know what point I was making with Joseph's attitude. I guess we could tie this in with bossing up, because when you do boss up, I done lost my train of thought. Oh Why did I do that? See, I should have trusted my gut and not told the Joseph story. But I probably was saying it along the lines of God will send a witness. Yeah. Anyway, back to bossing up, y'all. So, like I said, God will send you encouragement along the way to know you're on the right path. And I just want to come in here and tell you all that this life on this life being 10 toes behind Jesus is the best life you will ever have. I mean, I just remember and I think about times when I wasn't as deeply rooted as I am now, and it was just miserable. And like I ran track for LSU, right? And so people consider like those the glory days, the best time of their life. You're on TV, you know, people thinking you're so cool, whatever, fast, collegiate D1 athlete, and you're thinking then like, oh, that's the best time of your life. But y'all, the way I was feeling on the inside, though, it was temporary happiness. Like, I'll be happy for a short time, very short time, especially with all the stress that goes on college and sports and, performances. But, I'll go back to my apartment and it would just be me. And I can tell you this, I don't have nearly as much happiness, peace, and joy that I have now. And I always wished and like, what's the word, yearned, I guess, to feel how I feel now. And it's all because of God. It's nothing else. And God made sure that I would know that it's nothing else but Him, because I had nothing else, and I still was feeling peace. I still was feeling joy. I still was feeling all of these things. And sometimes God has to do that. He has to take everything from you to show that you're supposed to be relying on Him, whether you have or you don't have. And so if you have and you're not relying on Him, He'll say, okay, well, let me take those things from you a little bit and wake you up a little bit and see. So, y'all, that's truly, truly bossing up, finding God and hearing from Him what He wants you to do, because He knows what's best for us more than we know ourselves. We think we know, we think we this, but God knows the end from the beginning. So we only know the past and the right now. We can't see the future. He already knows the future. So who would you trust? And why? And if it's yourself, why? Why would you trust yourself? You can't see the future. God can. God knows. So let's make sense, right? And so now I just feel so excited for the future, like I said, God has allowed me to be here talking to you all. He's equipped me for a whole year. He's equipping me now to, come on here and do this. And like I said, I didn't think I would be doing this. Like, I never in a million years thought I would be doing this. And so, yeah, thanks be unto God. To God be the glory. I love saying that, but really, to God be the glory. He has bossed my life up, and I'm here to encourage you all. Find God, seek God, find you a good spirit-filled church home, get in that word, you know, um, yeah, and let God boss your life up, because if you depend on yourself to boss your life up, you may seem and look as if you've bossed up, but on the inside, only God can do that, and He does it better than anyone else out there. So that's the end of this podcast. Thank you guys for all your support. It's just, like, I'm literally smile. If you're not on YouTube, I encourage you all to go to YouTube and, or actually y'all can do whatever you want, but I encourage you all to go to YouTube and, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. But I was just smiling so big because of the assignment that I have for the future and God's plan. And I'm excited for those of you watching and listening, because I know God has big things for you too. And you just got to seek Him, and you got to truly, truly seek Him. And I'm telling you, when he reveals that purpose to you, if he hasn't already, when he reveals that purpose to you, y'all, your life will never be the same. That is a true boss up. All right, y'all. That's the end of this podcast. Um, I hope you're having a great Monday so far. And I'll see you all next Monday. Don't forget, stay 10 toes behind Jesus because you know he's 10 toes behind us. Love you guys. See y'all next Monday.